How's it going, everybody? I'm Sarah, and this is Fantasera Football.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Football is back on tonight, kickoff of the regular season with Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers. Let's go! So for anyone who hasn't seen any of my videos before, basically what I do is throughout the week, I do research. I do research on previous seasons, injuries, previous weeks if applicable, which obviously isn't for this week because it's week 1. All we have to go on is the preseason. And I come on and I give fantasy football advice. So for 3 positions, quarterback, running back, and wide receiver, I come on and I give my 3 starts at each position, my 3 sits at each position, and 1 sleeper for that week. I would like to throw something out there because I have had a couple people last season that said stuff, like, you didn't say to start Patrick Mahomes, or you didn't say to start Alvin Kamara. I shouldn't have to tell you to start these people. You're going to start them. If I have them as a sit, then there might be something wrong. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe they're going up against a really good defense that I don't think is a good fit for them that week. But if they're not on sits, start them. You should know these players. Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. You're going to start these people unless something else happens. So again, just wanted to throw that out there because I had a couple people make comments to me about it. I have a feeling these are the same people that we need warning labels on everything for, but disclaimer, obvious starts are going to be a start. All right, so after all being said, let's get into our week 1 starts, sits, and sleepers at quarterback.
Woo! Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when
Lamar Jackson, who will be on the road at the Miami Dolphins, who still have a team as of right now. Matthew Stafford, who will be on the road against Arizona Cardinals, and Dak Prescott, who has his season opener at home against the Giants. So the Miami Dolphins, in case anybody doesn't know, are tanking, okay? They have admitted to it. They don't care. They're on to next season. I feel like I'm talking about the NBA, but I'm not talking about football. This is why Lamar Jackson is going to be a solid start against the Dolphins. He has proven in the preseason that he can both run and throw the ball, which is a question that people needed answered. A lot of people thought that he was just going to be a running quarterback. So look for Lamar Jackson to have a big week in week 1. I couldn't tell you the last time that these words came out of my mouth, but this week I think my most favorable matchup at quarterback is Matthew Stafford at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, like many people, I have long since given up on the Detroit Lions to do anything productive, but this isn't about the Lions. This is about the Cardinals and their secondary. They have cornerbacks missing due to injury. Patrick Peterson, all-pro cornerback, is serving a 6-game suspension for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy, which all that says to me is that Matthew Stafford is going to be taking shots downfield. He is going to be testing those rookie and backup cornerbacks to see if they can cover anybody. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see a 3 or 4 touchdown game out of Matthew Stafford this week, which would be the first time in a long time. And my final start for quarterback this week is Dak Prescott at home against the Giants. Now, this was before I knew if Ezekiel Elliott was going to be back. And I know that every Cowboy fan, everyone in Dallas is like, praise the Lord, hallelujah, Jerry Jones finally did something right. Does this mean that he'll have the same impact that he did last season? I'm hesitant on that because we haven't seen what kind of shape he's in. Yes, I realize that he's an elite running back, one of the best in the league, but he's been missing. He's been absent. He was in Cabo training. Not saying that he wasn't, but I'm just saying you weren't in Cabo only training. So maybe they do rely on Dak Prescott a little more than Ezekiel Elliott. Dak is known for playing well against other NFC East teams. I think with the huge distraction and issue of whether or not Zeke was going to sign or not has really motivated Dak, and I think he's going to come out and show us what he's got. So I'm expecting a big game from Dak Prescott in week 1. Now moving on to my quarterback sits at week 1.
Sit down, be humble, sit down.
In fantasy, hopefully everybody drafted 2 quarterbacks because you need a backup, one for the bye week and one in case yours gets hurt. So these are my quarterback sits. So unless you don't have a better option, I'm saying that you need to sit Matt Ryan, who has a road game against the Minnesota Vikings, Derek Carr, who is at home against the Denver Broncos, and Kyler Murray, who is at home against the Detroit Lions. So I have a few reasons for sitting Matt Ryan, and it's not just because he is a huge disappointment to me and people around the world after the Patriots came back and won that Super Bowl. Matt Ryan frustrates me because Julio Jones doesn't have the numbers that he should have in fantasy because for whatever reason, he will throw it to anybody but Julio Jones. I don't get it, but anyway, Matt Ryan is on the road in Minnesota. Vikings have a great defense, and on top of that, Matt Ryan is with a different offensive coordinator. They're doing a new system. I just don't think week 1 is the week for Matty Ice. Number 2 on this week's quarterback sits, Derek Carr, aka Check Down Charlie. Derek Carr, for whatever reason, just seems scared to throw the ball down the field, which I don't get because he's actually fairly accurate on deep throws, but last season he ranked 20th in yards per attempt. You could argue that it's because he didn't have somebody like Antonio Brown downfield, but even then, how much practice have they really gotten together? You know, quarterbacks, wide receivers, you need those reps. You need to build chemistry, and they haven't been able to because Antonio Brown has been a shit show for all of preseason. He had the feet issue, he had the helmet issue. It's not what you need to have a working relationship with a quarterback and a wide receiver. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do come out week 1 and Derek Carr throws a 60-yard bomb, Antonio Brown catches it, touchdown, and everybody's like all about the Raiders all of a sudden. But I don't see it happening for that reason, but also because I think the Denver Broncos pass rush doesn't even give Derek Carr enough time to drop back and really look downfield and wait for those opportunities. So again, just my opinion for week 1. I think down the road throughout the season as they progress, we see more between Derek Carr and Antonio Brown. That's what he's there for. But like I said, this is week 1. All I have to go off of is last season and the preseason, and all of those things together tell me that Derek Carr stays on the bench in fantasy football this week. I was gonna put another quarterback along with Kyler Murray as a sit for this week, and that was Jimmy Garoppolo. So I guess I'm just gonna throw them both in there. If you watched any of their preseason debuts, it was atrocious. The only people catching passes for Jimmy Garoppolo are on defense, and Kyler Murray just looked, I realized it was preseason, he played for like 5 minutes, whatever. It was still bad. I'm hoping that Kyler Murray comes out and does really well, but if you drafted him and have a better option, let's keep Kyler Murray on the bench for week 1. Okay, and my week 1 sleeper at quarterback is Nick Foles at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick Foles is a sleeper for me because we don't know how often he's going to get the ball, right? We don't know how the Jaguars defense is going to do against the Chiefs. Maybe the Chiefs march down the field, score right away. Maybe they run out half the first quarter on one drive. But what I think we can expect is that the Jaguars will be chasing points throughout the game. So I'm expecting Nick Foles to be throwing the ball a lot. And going off of last year when the Chiefs played the Jaguars at home, Patrick Mahomes actually had his lowest scoring week in fantasy, his lowest weekly quarterback rank at 17, and did not throw a touchdown pass. So who knows if the Jaguars defense comes back out, gives Nick Foles more opportunities to score, but that's my sleeper at quarterback for this week. Moving on to the running back position, my 3 starts for you are Mark Ingram, who is on the road at the Miami Dolphins, David Montgomery, who is at home against the Green Bay Packers, and Tevin Coleman, who has a road game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Short and sweet, 2 reasons for starting Mark Ingram in week 1. He's playing against the Dolphins, and as I said before, you're going to want to start basically anybody that's playing against the Dolphins, especially a running back. The Dolphins have the 2nd worst rush defense in the NFL, and in terms of PPR, if you are in a PPR league, Mark Ingram has averaged 17.3 PPR points in the last 15 games over the past 2 seasons. My second start at running back playing tonight is David Montgomery at home against the Green Bay Packers. So a couple things. With Jordan Howard going to Philly, David Montgomery is their guy. He is going to get the majority of the touches at the running back position. In his first preseason game against Carolina, he had 3 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown, and he also had 3 catches for 30 yards. So this is somebody where whether you're in a standard or PPR fantasy league, David Montgomery is going to be a good start for you tonight. My final start at running back for week 1, especially if you are in a PPR league, is Tevin Coleman. So this has more to do with the coaching style of Kyle Shanahan. So while Coleman will be sharing carries with Breida, and we don't know how that's going to weigh out, Kyle Shanahan is known for loving a pass-catching running back, and that's exactly what Tevin Coleman does. He can run the ball, but he can also catch the ball out of the backfield. So with that coaching style, I'm expecting first game right out of the gate, we see a lot of those backfield catches from Tevin Coleman. So again, PPR league, start him. My 3 sits at running back this week might get a little pushback from people. I actually have to start one of them because I don't have a better option, but this is just my advice in case you do. For sits this week, Aaron Jones at home against the Chicago Bears, Darius Juice on the road in Philly, and Devin Singletary on the road against the Jets. The one sit that I am confident in, which is why he's my first one, is Aaron Jones against the Chicago Bears. So, Bears have a ridiculously tough defense. It is going to be difficult for pretty much anybody to run the ball against them. That being said, Aaron Jones has yet to play well against the Bears. He was injured in the preseason, plus the Packers have a new coach in Matt LaFleur. We have no idea what his system's going to look like. We have no idea what Aaron Rodgers is going to be doing. I think for week 1, until we can kind of see what's going on with that team, that Aaron Jones remains a sit. Now, I don't know how everyone else's fantasy drafts went, but I'm in 4 leagues this year, and in all 4, Darius Juice was a fairly popular running back. So this is not me saying that I don't think he's a good running back. I have my reasons for why I think you should sit him in week 1. So the first reason being, he is going to have to share carries with Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. So that being said, we don't really know what his workload is going to be. Is he going to get a ton of carries? Is it going to be split evenly? It's week 1. Those are things that we don't know until later on in the season. Aside from that, he's going to be going up against a tough Eagles defense without a left tackle. The Redskins' left tackle is out. That makes it hard for everybody on offense. It makes it hard on the quarterback. It makes it hard on the running back. So week 1, Darius Juice is a no-go for me. My last sit at running back, and this is tough for me personally because I have to start him. I don't have a better option. I'm just crossing my fingers that I'm wrong on this one. But I do think you sit Devin Singletary. Again, same thing as Darius Juice. I don't think he's not a good running back. I just think that he needs to prove himself. I think it's too early to say that he should absolutely be starting in your fantasy lineup. I don't know what their offense is going to look like. This is just gut instinct. I think you should sit Singletary if you have a better option. I will be the one stressing out whether or not he does well because, like I said, he will be in my lineup, so we'll see how it goes. My sleeper for week 1 at running back, which I don't really know if you can call a sleeper. This was tough for the first week. Maybe he's an obvious start for some people. Kerryon Johnson at the Arizona Cardinals. Still expecting more of a passing game from the Lions, which is maybe, why I consider him a sleeper, because I do think Matt Stafford is going to be throwing the ball, like I said earlier, with that injured and out secondary of the Arizona Cardinals. However, the Cardinals do also have the worst rushing defense. So maybe the Lions just go out there and it's 53-0 and everybody gets points, but I do have Kerryon Johnson as my week 1 running back sleeper. All right, and finally, wide receivers. My 3 starts for you at wide receiver are Julian Edelman at home against the Steelers, Kenny Golladay on the road at Arizona, and Sterling Shepard on the road against the Cowboys. 2 quick reasons for starting Julian Edelman. Everybody knows that Brady just loves that little guy, and the Steelers do tend to struggle against slot receivers. So, Julian Edelman, solid start. Kenny Golladay, same reason why I said you should start Matt Stafford. Really expecting the ball to be thrown a lot and downfield. He is either going to be going up against a rookie or a backup corner. It's going to be passes all day to him. I'm really expecting a big game between him and Matt Stafford collectively. So if you've got both on your team, big points. Short and sweet again, start Sterling Shepard. He should be in your starting lineup just on targets alone. With Golden Tate out, he is truly, really the only legitimate receiver for the New York Giants. My 3 sits at wide receiver for week 1 are going to be T.Y. Hilton on the road against the Chargers, Antonio Brown at home against the Denver Broncos, and DJ Moore at home against the Rams. The main reason I think you should hold off on T.Y. Hilton for week 1 is that he is likely to be covered by Casey Hayward, one of the best in the game. Not only that, we don't know how Jacoby Brissett is going to do. I mean, I think he's decent. Still feel bad for the Colts and that whole Andrew Luck situation, but don't worry about it. He'll stay out of the league for a couple years and then he'll come back and play for the Broncos. But yeah, don't start T.Y. Hilton in week 1. I know that any Raiders fans that watch this are going to completely ignore everything that I'm about to say about Antonio Brown, but it goes back to the same thing I said about Derek Carr. He doesn't have the reps with him. Derek Carr is not Big Ben. Derek Carr will not be throwing the passes to Antonio Brown that he's used to right away. It's not a week 1 start. Antonio Brown, as hard as it may be for you AB fans or you hardcore Raider fans, leave him on the bench. DJ Moore, a very similar situation to T.Y. Hilton, likely to be covered by the best corner, and we don't know what the quarterback's going to do. Cam Newton is a hot mess. Like, he's either really good or really bad and super salty and just in his own head. He's a head case. I've said that from the beginning. Cam Newton is a head case. So it's all dependent on him. So if he's going to have a good game, maybe DJ Moore has a good game. If he's going to break down, who knows? Or if he can't get open, DJ Moore is a sit for me for week 1. And last but not least, my sleeper at wide receiver is Will Fuller. So Will Fuller is going to be on the road against the Saints. I think that the Saints will have their best corner on DeAndre Hopkins, so I just think that naturally that is going to open up things for Will Fuller. I think he'll see more targets. That's my sleeper. This just in, and I'm glad I checked before I actually posted this video. I'm going to leave everything else the same, but Antonio Brown might be suspended. And the saga continues. Apparently got into it with the GM. Raiders are thinking about a suspension. Get it together. So yeah, for sure, like I said, sit Antonio Brown. All right, so that wraps up my start, sits, and sleepers on Fantasera Football for week 1. I also do an 8-leg parlay every single week. So here's my picks for this week. I am taking the Bears -3, taking the Ravens -6.5, Chiefs -3.5, Browns -5.5. Side note, I may or may not have put $20 on the Browns to win the Super Bowl. Call me crazy. I'm a Baker fan. I love the Browns. That's my pick. Rams -2.5, Lions -2.5, Chargers -6.5, and Broncos -2. So should be an exciting week of football. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please share it. If you have a friend that has no idea about fantasy football and you think this could be helpful, please show it to them. Unless you're playing against them this week, then you might not want to. But please also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fantasera Football. It's completely free. Just want to try and get this out there, see if it can take off. It's only my 2nd season doing it. I didn't finish all of last season. Life got in the way a little bit. But please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, Fantasera Football 2019. Again, thank you guys so much, and good luck in all your fantasy leagues. Week 1, here we go.
Fresh photos.